Hello and welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm John Pollock and we are kicking off 2015 with a look back at UFC 182 from this past Saturday night, featuring Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier vying for the light heavyweight championship. Donald Cerrone notches his 6th straight victory at lightweight, but he is not the man receiving the next title fight. Jon Jones successfully defended his light heavyweight championship on Saturday, earning a unanimous decision over Daniel Cormier. After a competitive first 3 rounds, it was the champion who would take over in rounds 4 and 5, even taking Cormier down with a pair of takedowns in the 4th. All the judges scored the fight 49-46, following a heated end to the fight where words were exchanged and Cormier tried to get in one final blow at the champion. The co-feature saw Donald Cerrone extend his win streak to 6 by delivering the first official loss to the career of Miles Jury with a unanimous decision. Cerrone countered a takedown in the opening round and would control the round in the grappling department by taking the back of Jury. Jury had his best round in the second, but it was a shutout performance from Donald Cerrone, who was frustrated with Jury not engaging enough and led to a series of high-impact leg kicks by Cerrone to end the fight. And it was announced on the broadcast Saturday night that Rafael dos Anjos will be the next lightweight to challenge champion Anthony Pettis, and it will headline UFC 185 on March the 14th in Dallas, Texas. Dos Anjos has won his last 3 fights and 8 of his last 9 to earn the shot, while Pettis recently returned from a year-plus layoff and submitted Gilbert Melendez at UFC 181 in December. And I'm here with John Randine and Robin Black coming out of UFC 182 on Saturday night. Jon Jones retaining the UFC light heavyweight championship over the course of 5 rounds. We talked about it at length on the Fight Network UFC 182 post show this past Saturday night. But going back to Saturday, John, your impressions of the champion Jon Jones. I mean, this for many people thought would be his biggest test and passed it with flying colors.
Yeah, Jon Jones is just simply incredible. The fact that he was willing to engage Daniel Cormier in the areas where Daniel Cormier is very, very strong in that clinch and proved to be superior, easily turning Cormier, forcing Cormier to use a lot of energy. Jon Jones is remarkable because we all know that he could use those long-range weapons. We've seen it time and time again. The guy is fast. He's creative. He uses whatever's available to him to inflict damage. And the fact that he was more than happy to accommodate Daniel Cormier. You want to do this? We'll play your game, and I promise you, I'm going to come out on top.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting because one of the great things about being able to carry a conversation like this through to Monday and Tuesday, it's one of the gifts of our gig here, is you look at it again. And my first thought was, when we were talking about this before, was Jones didn't agree to fight there. Cormier made that happen. But after he made it happen, he kind of did agree to fight there. Instead of panicking and saying, I must get back to distance, it was like, this guy's going to get in on me, so let's just fight him here. You're absolutely right. And that's one of the amazing, that's why this sport is so amazing. That's why it's worth going back and revisiting these fights and worth talking a little bit further about great performances, because you'll look at it again, and yes, he never panicked and said, I got to get out, I got to get back to distance. He just accepted the fact that it was there, and by rounds 4 and 5, he was winning there.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at a lot of firsts here for Daniel Cormier, being taken down, losing a round, and of course losing his first professional fight. Jon Jones was 4 and 5 were key because you had a very competitive first 3 rounds. I thought first one Jones, second Cormier, third was a real toss-up round, but then 4 and 5, Jones just ran away with it. And that 4th round, 2 of those big takedowns against Daniel Cormier, which I think mentally had to have affected him.
Well, I mean, you'd think so, but at the same time, Daniel Cormier at AKA, yes, he's the head wrestling coach at American Kickboxing Academy, but we know that he brought in King Mo. He trains with Cain Velasquez. You would expect throughout his time, somebody has taken him down, whether he's been tired, whether he's not feeling good. There's been times in the gym where somebody took him down, you would imagine. So in the situation with Jon Jones, that's why he didn't get panicked. He didn't get freaked out. Yes, he was tired, but that's what happens in the later rounds. But I love that he was able to keep himself composed and still move forward.
Yeah, you know, the great fights, 25 great minutes between elite athletes, you can talk about them for a very long time. There's so many variables, and those last 2 rounds were very much the variable. Look early, you know, you got 3 rounds, that's 15 minutes. The second half of round 1, all of round 2, and the first half of round 3 are Daniel Cormier rounds. If you move the time a little bit, he could have won 2 of the first 3 rounds. He didn't, but he won 10 minutes of the first 15 minutes. So going into that fourth and fifth, that was really everything. And why was Jones able to master those last 10 minutes? Partly because he weighed on him, he pushed him, he ground him down. And there's so much to talk about with Jones that it's sad because Cormier fought so beautifully, fought so tough, brought it mentally. It's so dangerous to push through the range on this great champion, and he did all of that. But you almost don't have time to talk about him because there was so much brilliance from Jones.
And what is cool about it is that Daniel Cormier now gets to, like Alexander Gustafsson, they go back to the drawing board and say, okay, where are the areas that I kind of failed, and how can I improve on that? Well, one thing that Daniel Cormier can improve on, he said it, I didn't expect John Jones to be as strong, as physically imposing as he was in that fight. So you try to take care of that in training, and the rounds 4 and 5 where Cormier faded, let's make sure we're like Cain Velasquez and we never get tired.
Yeah, and the toughest one of all to overcome is sitting down there. You saw the pain in Cormier because to get to that point, you have to be so single-mindedly driven to get close to the mountain. When you're climbing that mountain, you're almost there. Some men fail there, and when you do, it kills a guy who spent his lifetime striving. So you saw how he felt, but when in those moments of honesty, he said, you know, I just couldn't believe how mentally tough he was, how bad he wanted it. Jones proved to be unbreakable against him, and that is a tough one to go back in the gym and figure out, how do I break something that seems unbreakable? You know, it's possible.
And someone in Daniel Cormier who not all that much unlike Chad Mendes, who I believe second best in his division and probably beats everyone else in that top 5, except there's a gap between the champion, and it's what you said. There's a lot of just natural talent that champion possesses, whether it's John Jones or Jose Aldo, that gap is there.
But what is cool right now is, yes, it seems that John Jones is number 1. Daniel Cormier, is he number 2, or is Alexander Gustafsson number 2, or is Anthony Johnson number 2? Right now, the top 4 guys, very exciting. You have Rashad kind of floating around the outside. That you know that Rashad is very, very talented, and he could have a great performance against Teixeira. So right now, 205 pounds, very, very exciting.
We'll find out the next contender in a few weeks when Alexander Gustafsson and Anthony Johnson meet in Sweden. But right now, it is more of Fight News Now Extra.